You know, there are so many ways of being a mother. I personally never gave birth, but I feel like I've mothered thousands of children as I taught elementary school for 30 years. I know I mothered my niece and nephews, and God only knows how many countless fur babies. Just for a puppy update. She should be coming next week. So, my new fur baby. So today's talk title is "Peace Be Unto Thee," and I took it from the very opening of this book here. This is the Science of Mind textbook. It's what we call our foundational textbook for our teaching. It was originally written in 1929 by our founder, Ernest Holmes. He revised it in 1936. And when he revised it, he put a poem at the beginning of it. And so this poem here is actually pretty much the essence of the Science of Mind teaching in a very poetic manner. And so I thought I'd share it with you. It's entitled, "Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger." Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left a gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. And so in this poem, he's talking about that place in consciousness, that place in spirit, what Jesus, the master teacher, referred to as, "My Father's mansion has many rooms." It is that idea that there are infinite places where we can dwell. And when we dwell in that place, when we dwell in that consciousness, then everything is available to us. Wine, fruit, shade, comfortable chairs, connection with people. Everything is available to us when we actually align ourselves in consciousness and dwell in spirit. You know, there's a very famous line from the Bible, "The place on which I stand is holy ground, for God is there." I can stand here and it's holy ground. And I can stand over here and it's holy ground. Because the ground is not what is important. It is the consciousness within. And so no matter where you are, no matter what the dwelling is, no matter what the circumstances are, there is a place of peace within you because the consciousness of spirit is within you. And so for me, that one little poem really encompasses so much of our teaching, so much of our belief system, and so much of our philosophy. And so I wanted to share that with you today as the opening part of today's talk. You know, we can always find that place of peace within us when we are centered, when we are grounded, when we are aligning ourselves with that spiritual source, that connection that we know that's there. And when we feel times where it's not quite so peaceful, we always have an opportunity to go within and listen for that still small voice. Because it's always there. It's always ready to speak to us. We just have to get ourselves still enough to hear it, quiet enough to hear it. And we have to have the willingness to be able to hear it. If we're closing ourselves off to it, then there's not really a place for spirit to operate. It is always present. That's why I said it doesn't matter where I'm standing, the presence of the divine is there, because it's always there. I have to be willing to open up, to hear it, to take comfort from it, to follow its guidance, to do what's in front of me to do. So, as I said, today's Mother's Day, and I started looking for as I was planning this several months ago, I was like, what is the connection between Mother's Day and peace? Because peace is our theme for this month. We're doing this year-long theme of building a community, and each month we're focusing on a different spiritual quality to build this community, what we think is necessary to have in a successful spiritual community. And peace, of course, is being a very key component to that. If people don't feel peace when they walk in the room, they're probably not going to come back again. So we need to be able to be that place of peace in each one of us. And not only that, Our lives are a lot nicer when we are at that place of peace. So I went and looked up the history of Mother's Day. And it was started by a woman named Anna Jarvis, based on the work of her mother. In the mid-1850s, 60s, before the Civil War mostly, her mother started a group that was called the Mother's Day Work Club. And the Mother's Day Work Club was designed to bring women together to teach them how to improve the sanitary conditions and hopefully improve infant mortality in the world. Because there was this, wasn't a lot of antibiotics, or there were no antibiotics, there wasn't a lot of hygienic conditions in the world around 1850s. And so, milk contamination was a big problem. Contamination of other foods and things like that. So she started these clubs all over to get people to train women on how to sanitize, clean, make their living spaces better for their families, for their children. And Anna Jarvis continued that work a little bit. Anna Jarvis was an abolitionist and a suffragette, so she was very much about women's empowerment. And so she continued that work along with some of the other abolitionists and suffragettes, one of which was Julia Ward Howe, who's most famous for being the founder of Girl Scouts and writing the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She, again, was a suffragette and an abolitionist in the 1800s. And so Julia wrote something that she called the Mother's Day Proclamation. And when I was reading that, I was surprised how much it was about creating peace. Now remember, this is Civil War times. This was written in 1870, so just post-Civil War. And so there was a lot of turmoil in the country. There was a lot of healing work that needed to be done. Anna Jarvis and Julia Ward Howe and some of the other suffragettes set up these meetings between mothers of the North and mothers of the South to try to heal some of the turmoil that had happened during that Civil War that we had. And so in 1870, Julia Ward Howe wrote this, and so I thought I'd read it to you. It's a poem called Mother's Day Proclamation. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be of that of water or of tears. Say firmly, I will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking of carnage for caresses and applause. Remember, post-Civil War. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of the country will be too tender of those of other countries to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of a home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to wail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as a means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each earning its own time, the sacred impress, not of Caesar's, but of God's. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that the General Congress of Women, without limit of nationality, may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objectives, to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, and the great and general interest of peace. Mother's Day. Totally about peace. About healing the turmoil of the Civil War and all of the wars that have followed it. Because remember, in the U.S. history, we just went from one war to the next. We just bounced on through. And so, there has been such an outcry from women especially to not let our children be killed. Not let our children kill other women's children. To not allow that to happen. Now, this was in 1870. In 2015, I'm at the World Parliament of Religions in Salt Lake City. And it was a week-long conference of about 10,000 people. And I'm not sure if I got the numbers exactly right, but I believe it was 800 religions from 500 different countries. So it's a huge event that happens. This year it's in Chicago, back where it started originally at the Chicago World Fair back in the 1800s. If you ever have an opportunity to go, it's a wonderful experience to be around people of all these different faiths and to listen to speakers who are speaking to it. So I'm at the Parliament, and the theme was women's empowerment and world peace. And so it was this dual theme that was going on there. And one of the keynote speakers was Marianne Williamson. So she stands up and she starts her talk, and she's very animated and very passionate about it. And she poses the question, what would have happened if, now this is 2015, so what would have happened if at the beginning of the war in Iraq, that all of the mothers in the country had joined hands across the country and said, you're not sending my child to war. You're not allowing my child to kill another child. She said it never would have happened with the political climate that we have right now. But can you imagine if every mother, whether you've given birth, whether you've adopted, whether you've fostered, whether you've supported, if every mother, whether you're male or female, whether you're aunt or uncle or grandparent, if everyone who has ever supported a child said, you're not going to kill my child, what a world we would have created, what a difference it would have made. One of her best lines in there, I actually copied it down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. So she's talking about women. And she says, remember that passionate, free-thinking women have never been deeply appreciated by any of the great political viewpoints of the world. Because passionate, free-thinking women raise passionate, free-thinking children. And passionate, free-thinking children grow up to be passionate, free-thinking adults. And passionate, free-thinking adults are very hard to manipulate and almost impossible to control. Now, doesn't that give you chills? The mothers of the world are what we need for peace. And mothers in all forms. Please hear that. I'm not just talking about females who have given birth. Those who care for the younger people, for the generations that are following us. We are the ones who are there to create the peace, to bring our offspring into it, to allow this world to flourish. In the 1950s, Mahatma Gandhi said that if nonviolence is the law of our being, the future begins with women. And about 20 years ago, the Dalai Lama said, the world will be saved by the Western woman. These are people from other religious beliefs also, stressing the importance, because motherhood is universal. Peace is universal. It is the desire that is within our very being, that is wanting to express itself. And when we can get to that place of feeling peace and then living our lives in peace, what an experience we will have. That's when we begin to really live Ernest's poem, Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger. Where I'm not concerned with who that person is. All I have to remember is it's somebody's child. And just like I don't want anything to happen to my children, I cannot wish something ill on somebody else's children. We have a great opportunity to create a world of peace when we practice the philosophy and the concern and the care and the love that is embodied in motherhood. Then we can really truly begin to create that world that works for everyone in all of creation. And again, it's not limited to people. It's our planet. It's the animals that we share our lives with, the animals that we depend upon, the animals we don't really like so much. All of that is important to keep the balance of life flowing, to keep peace and anything. Because when we're resisting anything, when we're fighting against anything, we're in a constant state of turmoil. We can't get to a place of peace when there's conflict in our heart. And so we always have this opportunity to practice the attributes of Mother's Day. When Woodrow Wilson signed the proclamation for Mother's Day, it was his main purpose was for it to be a time of mourning women to remember their fallen children and work for peace. That was the original purpose of Mother's Day. And like with all holidays, of course, we've commercialized it. But it's also a wonderful time for us to celebrate the mothers in our lives. I was blessed with a wonderful mother. Yesterday was the anniversary of her passing 9 years ago. I was also blessed with a wonderful father who was as nurturing and as loving as any woman could ever have been. I know that's not been everybody's experience, but I think it is possible going forward that it can be everyone's experience. That we can feel that deep, abiding love that wants nothing more but to see our unfoldment and to see us live in a life of peace and joy and love and contentment. My parents' number one goal for me was that I could always be self-sufficient and find my own way in life. They never wanted me to be dependent upon anybody else, but they wanted me to find love and to find joy and to find connection. The flowers today are for my mom. So, anyway. I was not thinking I was going to get that choked up, guys. Okay. So this month I've been working on the practices of mindfulness, to getting to a place of peace within ourselves. This past week I've been focusing on mindfulness for reducing the stress in our life. And stress is the antithesis of peace. When we're feeling stress in our life, we are not at all at peace. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of stress that is. You know, it can be physical stressors, it can be mental, emotional, financial, relationship. It doesn't matter what kind it is. When we're in a place of stress, there's actually even chemical things going on inside of our bodies that get us to a place where we can't even relax, we can't even get to that. You know, we wind up finding all kinds of aches and pains that we didn't know we had because our body's got these chemicals running through them that are creating havoc inside of us. And so mindfulness for stress reduction is a powerful practice. And so I thought I would take you through just a brief one, about 5 minutes here, of getting to a place of dealing with stress in a mindful way. So mindfulness has 3 components. It's about putting your attention on it, becoming aware of what it is, and then dealing with it in a non-reactive way, non-judgmental way. So it's attention, awareness, and what we call equanimity, balance, peace, no reaction to it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring up something that's maybe stressing you a little bit right now. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a little thing. It can be, whatever you want to deal with. I'd like you to just take a moment and come up with something that's been a stressor in your life, maybe this past week or this month.
Work.
That's always a good one. How about moving? Family, right? Yes. All different kinds of things that can cause us a little bit of turmoil in our lives. So just take that in. So we're going to go into a little meditative experience. Mindfulness is very meditative, but not all mindfulness is a meditation, and not all meditations are mindfulness, but there is some relationship between the two. So if you want to, go ahead and close your eyes. And maybe just take in a nice breath. It doesn't have to be real deep, but if you want to make it a deep, releasing breath, that's always good too. And now with that issue in your mind, just going to go through a series of questions just to bring our awareness to the different parts of it. We've brought it to our attention, now we're looking at it through the eyes of awareness. What is this situation about for me? So just in your own mind, answer that question if you can. What is this situation about for me? Even just asking the question and then deep listening. Something may come through and it may not. What is this situation about for me? The next question, what about this situation is for my highest and greatest good? What about this situation is there for me? What is my next step in this situation? What is it I am here to do about this? And finally, what is here for me to know so that I can release this situation from my experience? What is here for me to know so that I can let this go? So just taking another nice deep breath. And reorient yourself in this space. Feel the chair beneath you. Notice the people around you. When you're ready, just go ahead and open your eyes. When we can take a moment and become peaceful and ask ourselves some of these kind of questions, these questions that Joel Goldsmith says that you can tell how much you have grown spiritually by the quality of the questions that you ask. And so those questions that I asked, I didn't say, why is this being done to me? I didn't say, how could this happen? Those questions keep me stuck in the problem. But the questions that I ask lead us to an awareness in the situation that might allow us to release it. And so when you're facing any kind of a stressful situation like that, and you have a moment, sometimes it takes a few minutes or hours or maybe even days to get to a place where we can ask the questions because we're so enmeshed in the situation that we're not at that place where we can even get to that asking questions. But once we can, and it's in our attention and we bring our awareness to it, and then we react to those answers that come up without judging them, without trying to say, oh, that's stupid, I'm not doing that, or who would even think of that? Those kind of questions keep us stuck in the problem. Those kind of answers, keep us stuck in the problem. But allowing it to come up, and whatever comes up, say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'll just let that be, let that rest. Maybe something will show itself for me. Giving a situation, a stressful situation, some space and some guided attention can allow us to get to a place of peace in that situation much easier than being caught in it and constantly battling and fighting and resisting and trying to fix it and all of that stuff. To allow ourselves to have a little space to open up to a possibility that may not have occurred to us yet will give us a place of peace within ourselves, right in the midst of any turmoil. It takes practice, and it takes willingness, but so does everything else. All right, let's take this into prayer. I'm going to invite our spiritual practitioners to stand and surround us. These beloveds spend many years in study, dedicated practice to be a place of knowing truth for themselves and a place to know truth for you. And so if you want to just go ahead and take that breath again. Close your eyes. And open up to the consciousness that is present right here and right now. Because that's all that's happening. There is nothing here but the action and the activity of the divine. It is in each one of us. It is moving through us. It is showing up as us. It fills the space. It is the air we breathe. It is the work we do. There is nothing except this one. And this one goes by many names. Has shown up in a multitude of incarnations. And it doesn't matter what we call it or how it appears to us. It is simply that one divine, creative, loving intelligence that has brought forth everything into existence, that is the isness and the allness and the fullness of all life, that is the ground that we stand upon. It is the blood moving through our bodies. It is everyone we meet and everyone we've yet to know. For nothing exists outside of this one. And because I know that there is only one, I know that I am one with it. That indwelling presence is living its life through me right here and right now. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for everyone, for all of creation. Because again, nothing exists outside of this one. We are all united in this divine harmony of life that is moving itself into expression right here and right now. And I know that divine life shows up as perfect peace, as a love so powerful that it cannot tolerate injustice, that it cannot allow anything other than itself to exist. When we are so enmeshed in this sense of peace, there is not room for turmoil or conflict or war. And as each one of us embodies that perfection of peace, it spreads out. Just like that virus we just experienced. It spreads out and it's contagious and connects with everyone around us. We are a virus of peace. When we align ourselves with it, when we know that truth, when we live from that place, we are absolutely contagious. And that is our world work. That is why we are here, to be that place, to connect in peace with each other, to share it, to experience it, and to foster it wherever we go. How good it is to know this, how grateful I am to feel it, to see it happening, to know it is coming through me and everyone I meet. And so I release this word into that law that always says yes, that knows no lack or limitation, that simply says peace is, and that's all there is to it. I let it go and I let it be. And together we say,
so it is.